with the youngest, most daring, intrepid, gutsy, fearless host on the planet. Get ready for Jake's Takes. Here's Jake.
Welcome back! I am Jake, and this is Jake's Takes, where I get your favorite athletes and stars to open up and speak what's really on their minds. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you won't believe the guests I have lined up. Today's guest played his high school ball at Dunbar High School in Baltimore. During his junior and senior year, Dunbar won 59 consecutive games and was ranked as one of the top high school teams in America. He was voted the most valuable player on his team, even though he was sharing the court with 3 future NBA players, including Celtics star Reggie Lewis. He went on to play college ball at Wake Forest in 1983. As a senior, he received the award as Wake Forest's most valuable athlete. When his college career ended, he was the ACC career leader in steals and assists, and the school retired his jersey number. He also played for the USA national team and won the gold medal, leading Team USA in steals and assists. He was then drafted 12th overall in the 1987 NBA draft by the Washington Bullets, and was a part of a draft class that also included David Robinson, Scottie Pippen, Reggie Miller, and Kevin Johnson. He then joined the Charlotte Hornets, where he played for 6 seasons. And in the 1992-93 season, he helped lead the Hornets to their first ever NBA playoffs appearance. After his incredible years in Charlotte, he played with the Warriors and then signed as a free agent with the Toronto Raptors, taking them to their first ever playoff series. Oh, did I forget to mention he did all of this while being 5'3", the smallest player in NBA history? It's my absolute honor to welcome to Jake's Takes the courageous leader, Muggsy Bogues! What's going on, Muggsy? How you doing?
I'm good, Jake. I tell you what, I have been around for quite some time, and I've been introduced quite often, but nothing like this one, buddy. I tell you, you went full throttle to bring me out, and I truly appreciate it. It's an honor to be on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I worked really hard on that. How's your summer been so far?
Summer's been excellent. It's trying to get back to some sort of normalcy, considering the pandemic, and folks now feel like they can freely get outdoors a little more. But I'm still being cautious, still wearing my mask at opportunities when I need to, and just making sure that we, understand my surroundings. But for the most part, I'm just trying to enjoy, the outdoors and my kids and my grandkids, and just trying to make life better for all of us.
I think you have the Muggsy Bogues Celebrity Golf Tournament coming up in August. How are the plans coming along?
Plans are coming along pretty good. Thanks for asking about that. This is our 3rd annual golf tournament we about to put on. We was derailed a little bit through the pandemic, so we weren't able to do it last year. But this year we out there. We got some good names that's going to be joining us. Of course, my buddy Dale Curry will be out there with me. The likes of the Steve Smiths, who are a former NFL player, and a PGA golfer, and Harold Vaughn are good friends. So guys going to come and support us, and it's for a great cause. I have my foundation, we provide scholarships for kids that's eligible to go to CPC, a 2-year university, work on trade skill programs. And then also, we help struggling families, try to help them and lead them into economics and a little financial stability by addressing, issues like education, job training, and food insecurity. So we're trying to do our part out here to make sure that people have a better resource to move forward.
Wow, good for you. By the way, Muggsy, is there any extra space? Because I would love to come if there was.
We will always make space for you, buddy. You know, if you like to swing that golf club and you like to put that thing down the middle of the fairway, I can use you because mine's be going everywhere.
So you ready to talk some basketball, Muggsy?
Let's talk it.
Okay, let's start with your time at Wake Forest. The school has had tons of amazing point guards, including current NBAers Chris Paul, Jeff Teague, and Ish Smith. You know which one of those three has the most assists in Wake Forest history? None of them. You do, Muggsy. Of course, you knew that, but not only that, you also hold the single year and single game records as well. What is it about Wake Forest that they're able just to produce so many great point guards year after year?
Well, I don't know what the secret is and what the secret sauce may be, but I mean, for me, it was an opportunity to go to a university to give me a platform on both sides of the spectrum, you know, academically as well as basketball. It was the toughest conference. It was one of the most known conferences that's out there. And playing against the likes of the Michael Jordans and the Lenny Bynes and those guys, I mean, I felt like, you know, this could be a good place for getting recognized. And also, you know, education-wise, it can provide me and prepare me for after basketball. But once I decided, you know, to leave, then, of course, we was able to continue to contract great point guards. I mean, it started with the likes of Frank Johnson and Skip Brown, and early on in our Wake Forest history career. And then you got the likes of myself and the Chris Paul, the Jeff Teague, the Ish Smith. So we were just fortunate enough to land in a good place, in a good university that was able to allow us to flourish, become the people that we wanted to become.
By the way, I gotta ask you, do you think Chris Paul is the best pure point guard of all time? Because he's something else.
Yeah, CP is one of the top true point guards that's out there. You know, you got John Stockton. Of course, my all-time greatest is Magic Johnson. But Chris is definitely one of the top leaders that we've seen in our decade for quite some time. His ability to make guys around him better as well as himself. Just the way he kind of leads. It's just effortless and it's contagious. And I consider him one of the top.
Yeah, it's crazy because just last year, DeAndre Ayton looked like it was a huge mistake for Phoenix to take him even in the top 3. But now the way Chris Paul and him are getting some chemistry together doesn't look like a mistake anymore. It looks like...
You absolutely hit it on the nail there, Jake. But that's what it takes. You know, the game of basketball is about, you know, 5 guys. And it always starts with that point guard. If you got a point guard to understand his players around him and his ability to make you better, that's what other positions love to have, someone with that type of vision, because that's the position that it calls for. So I'm quite Aiden is understanding that he has a point guard that's very knowledgeable, knows how to get him the basketball, where to get him the basketball to be successful. And he just got to do his part and keeping himself in that type of space. So having a point guard like CP always takes some of the burden off you.
By the way, Muggsy, who do you think's the best point guard in the game today?
Today, well, you got a lot of great guards. You know, you got the Stephen Currys out there, the Kyrie Irvings, the Damian Lillard. Of course, Westbrook is still in the conversation. But right now, and then the James Harden. You know, James Harden is definitely considered a point guard now in these days. So for me, I'm always biased because I got Steph. It's something that, you know, kind of have a little more passion for because of his upbringing and so forth. But just to be honest, I mean, the game has been, I mean, we got so many different skill sets of these point guards, which, like I just mentioned, Steph and Kyrie Irving with his handle, with his ability to get to the basket. Damian Lillard can shoot from half court as well. James Harden can now, you know, go out there and get a triple-double when he wants, and Westbrook is averaging the triple-double. So, I mean, we got so many guys that's out there, and I can't put just one ahead of one.
By the way, Muggsy, like a few weeks into the season, I went over to my dad and I said, you know, I think the Celtics should trade Kemba. He's like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I just feel that he's not the right piece for them, and they should trade him to try and get something better. And I didn't think he would get traded for Al Horford, and they even had to throw in a pick. Like, what was with that? What happened?
Well, you called it. I mean, that was some intuition that you had going on right there. But it was a great call. I think for whatever reason, once Kemba got there, his injuries wouldn't allow him to be the Kemba that he was in Charlotte. And I think it was kind of, hindering some of the other guys around him. And I think they needed that third guy. And when he wasn't producing on a consistent basis, they felt like, they need to move on. And, it's all about health with Kemba. If he's healthy, he's one of the toughest point guards you can ever, have to play against. But when you're injured, there's only so much you can do. I mean, we've seen that with so many players. Just hopefully that he can get to OKC and I don't even say re-resurrect, but just to return to get back playing the type of basketball he knows he's capable of playing.
So, Muggsy, you don't think it was just that because he played on a team that wasn't so good that he was the first option and he's putting up those numbers?
What do you mean by being in Charlotte?
Yeah.
Well, being in Charlotte gave him an opportunity, to become the all-star. I mean, those were the situations that he was faced with, and he took advantage of it. I mean, unfortunately, he didn't have a lot of players around him that he can kind of, continue to showcase he can play with, star players. But like I said, it all came down with injuries with Kemba. When he got hurt and he couldn't move the way he normally moves, and for a guard like him, and he needs that type of mobility, because, the quickness, the change of pace, keeping guys off balance. He like to keep guys on skates. So, but those are things that
the little shimmy.
Do. Yeah, the little shimmy.
And then it rolls out.
you know it all. He wasn't able to do any of that, so that kind of derailed him. And when you're not able to feel your best, you're not able to get your best.
Yeah, so Muggsy, you had the privilege to play in the league with some of the greatest players of all time. You competed and excelled against legends. But obviously one of those legends just stood out. And I'm talking about Michael Jordan. Tell me what it was like going up against MJ.
Well, MJ was the greatest of them all. He was that cat, that guy that everybody wanted to overcome. But, for some reason, he found a way to, to persevere. But he had a skill set that allowed him to do that. He was one of the few guys that I felt that he had no deficiency. You look at anybody's basketball game, they have some sort of deficiency of their game. And he was one that didn't have any on both ends of the floor, defensively as well as offensively. So, luckily he didn't play my position. I was a point guard. He played the two guard position. So that was Dell Curry and all those guys chasing them around. But opportunities came that where he and I had to face one another and had to guard each other. But, that's what you love. You love playing against the best. You love playing against the guy that, feel like he can do anything to you. And then, of course, you got that competitive spirit in you and you feel like you can stop him from doing for what he's capable of doing. So, I always had a good time with MJ, especially when I stole the ball from him and always let him know that, that's my world down there. You may be air, but I'm low.
You also played when the NBA was truly a tough game. The league was much more physical. It seems like the players in your time carried themselves differently than the players do these days. Is it fair to put a great like Michael Jordan in the same category as LeBron James, because of their eras and stuff?
Well, that's what people always try to do, compare eras, compare players, especially the elite, the top ones, and, especially the ones that they feel like they passed the torch to. And LeBron has been one of those guys that the torch been passed to. It went down from Julius Erving, to Connie Hawkins, all those guys, and passing it to the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird passing it on to the Michael Jordan, and the Michael Jordan passing it on to the Kobe Bryants, and now the Kobe Bryant passing it on to the LeBron James, and that's how it goes. And but in terms of fairness and who is the GOAT, as they want to say, my MJ always stands out for me. But you can't take anything away from what LeBron has done and what he's continuing to do, because he's doing it in a different fashion. He's 6'9". I mean, the era that we're playing in today, as you alluded to, is not as physical, but it's still an era that you got to compete against because you got so many skillful players today as it was back then. We had 7-footers playing their back towards the basket. We got 7-footers bring the basketball up these days, so that's the changing of the game.
By the way, speaking of LeBron and Michael, and the timing couldn't be any better, because today is the launch of Space Jam 2, a new legacy. Can you talk about what the experience was like in Space Jam 1? How did you get the gig, and how you felt about the sequel?
And how ironic it is that we're doing this interview on the opening of Space Jam. But we had a great time doing Space Jam. We had a lot of fun. I mean, being on the set, shooting with the guys, I mean, it was surreal. I mean, you didn't know what the outcome would be once they put it all together, and it turned out to be a pretty good movie, a movie that became such a classic. Ironic, not only just for the kids, but for the entire family. So let's hope that this new era, this new generation can follow along with that. I think LeBron and his crew probably did a great job of trying to bring in some excitement, some different type of entertainment, to the screen. And let's hope Space Jam can live up to his legacy. Because we did a good job. We saved the planet. Hopefully they can save the world.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite movies. I watched it like 15 to 20 times.
I still got my powers. Got them back.
So my dad tells me that the Charlotte Hornets in the early 90s was the coolest team in basketball. He even had the Hornets starter jacket. How do you feel about the current Hornets team? And are they carrying the torch for you, Alonzo, and Larry?
Yeah, that was. I mean, back then, your dad was absolutely right. That starter jacket, that teal was pretty hot back then. The pinstripe uniforms that we had. So he was dead on with that. And the current team, I'm pretty excited. With the addition of LaMelo and with the resurgence of Miles Bridges and Gordon Hayward, P.J. Tucker, Malik Monk. I think they got a good core. They missed the playoffs last year, but they had a play-in. I think if Hayward wouldn't have went down, they might have, been in there at the 6th or 5th spot. Who knows? But I like what they've done. I like what Mitch Kupchak and Michael Jordan has done this year, and well, in the previous year, continue to bring in quality and players that really can turn out to be such, players, stars that they realize they can be. So I'm excited about it. I hope that we can get a good draft pick this year, and then they take that next step to make the playoffs.
By the way, speaking about LaMelo, he's easily the best rookie. He put up triple doubles, played with such veteran poise. He was a way better shooter than I expected, and his stats are ridiculous. As a rookie, he put up 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, on 44% from field goal, which isn't the best, but for a rookie, that's pretty good. He was very polished, and he looked like that go-to guy. What do you think? What do you think his ceiling is?
Oh, the ceiling is very high. The ceiling is very high for LaMelo. I mean, he understands his platform, and I think what helped him a lot was being able to play overseas a year or two before he played against professional players. I mean, over there was professionals, so he had the opportunity to get that experience and just relished in the moment once he got here in Charlotte. I mean, as a rookie, the stats that you just spread out, I mean, those are remarkable stats as a rookie. And he also got hurt and missed about 20 games. So who knows what those numbers could look like if he would have been on the floor for those many games. But the potential is definitely high. He had the arena electrified, especially when fans were able to come in to witness the game. So I think that he really want to take that next step and getting this franchise in a position where, they possibly can have home court advantage one day.
By the way, do you think that the Charlotte Hornets might have over-invested in the point guard and shooting guard position? I mean, they have 3 point guards in LaMelo Ball, in Terry Rozier, in Devontae Graham. And then they have Gordon Hayward, who switches off between small forward and shooting guard. What do you think about that?
Well, I think they're going to have to address that issue because that makes them kind of small relatively. But Devontae Graham, and nobody knew what type of how LaMelo was gonna, perform this year. So that was a little security blanket. Devontae Graham was coming off possibly being one of the most improved players, getting that award. And here he is. I mean, he's steady. He's solid. So having him backing up is always a good thing. And then Terry Rozier, he's different. He's just one of them combo guards. A guard that where you don't look at him as a point guard, you don't look at him as a shooting guard. He's just one of those combo guards that's allow your team to go out there, and he's able to score in a variety of ways. But I think they need to address that issue because the center position needs to be addressed. I think they need a rim protector and probably another piece, and who knows what we can beat in.
Muggsy, you probably don't know this yet, but I'm about to tell you a story. But first I want to tell you something else that Terry's great at is sound effects. Just take a listen to this story. When he was in Boston, I sat courtside right next to their bench. He was sitting next to Jaylen Brown in the whole game. Jaylen was a rookie. The whole game, I'm like, Jaylen, can I have your warm-up shirt? Can I have your warm-up shirt? He's like, sorry, kid, I can't. They were getting blown out by 40 points. And I was wearing a Warrior shirt. And I said to him, I'm like, hey, Terry. I said, hey, Jaylen, can I have your warm-up shirt, please? He's like, I can't. It's my only one. So with like 40 seconds left, I'm like, Jaylen, I'll switch you mine. If I give you my Warrior shirt, will you give me your Celtics shirt? He's like, I can't. I'm like, come on, then you can wear a real basketball team shirt. Terry Rozier in the whole bench goes, ooh. It was so funny. And after the game, he walked over to me, untied his shoes, and just handed them to me. I was in shock.
Oh, what an experience. See, that's what it's all about when you go to a game like that. You never know what type of reaction you're going to get, especially if you're that close and you're able to engage with the players. I mean, they can be very funny. I mean, especially, during game time. I mean, because, it's off the cuff. They never know what type of response you might get. They never know who's out there heckling them and so forth. So for you to be able to get that experience and then afterwards to get the shoes, pretty tight.
Muggsy, I want to talk about your time in Toronto. Personally, as a kid from Toronto, I have huge appreciation for what Vince Carter brought to TO. Even though he was way before my time, Vince was maybe the most exciting player in NBA history. Vinsanity was off the charts. What was it like playing basketball with Vince?
Well, Vince was amazing. Vince, again, at that time, I was in my 10th year in the season. And when I got the opportunity to play with Vince his second year, I mean, it was a true honor because you saw the determination, the type of player he wanted to be. I mean, he was in the breath of Michael Jordan. He had that Vinsanity tag on his back. And the way he was able to play night in and night out and the spectacular performance that he put on. I mean, it was amazing. Then playing with T-Mac and adding that on with it. I mean, him and Tracy was two of the guys that we kind of was reminded of back in that early days was MJ and Scottie Pippen. So having those two type of players along the side and fighting to try to change the culture of the organization at the time, we wanted to make sure that we came and put our stamp on it. We had veteran guys mixed in with young guys, the likes of Charles Oakley, Del Curry, Kevin Willis, Doug Christie, and who else I'm missing? D. Brown. So we had a lot, Antonio Davis. We had a lot of guys mixed in with the Alvin Williams and the Tracy's and the Vets. And being able to make that playoff that year in 2000, I think it set the city off and it really got the organization on the right trajectory and headed in the right direction.
By the way, Muggsy, I'm not sure if this is true, but there was rumors that McGrady and Carter were cousins. Is that true or no?
That is true. They are legitimate cousins. That is so true. Yes.
That's so cool. Last question, Muggsy. Your career and accomplishments are a lesson for us all. That if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything, even at 5'3". You managed to set school records, have your number retired, make the NBA, and excel at the highest level. When did you realize that despite your size, you can do anything you wanted to do?
Well, that was early on as a kid, growing up. Hearing all, the games that I was trying to pursue, which was the game of basketball. I didn't realize people could be so cruel trying to pursue a sport. But, a lot of jokes came with it by being small. A lot of hurtful things that, if you allow it, it could take you down and derail you from becoming who you are. But for me, it was in one ear, out the other, because I believed in me. I knew what my skill set was. I knew what I wanted, and I wanted to go out there and prove it. And every time I stepped on the basketball court, I had the mindset that if I play against the best, if I have success against the best, I need to be included with the best. And having that mindset allowed me to keep climbing the ladders and not even really care about what others thought. As long as I was having success on the basketball court, my team was winning, and we was having fun. That's all that mattered.
Muggsy, thanks so much for joining me today on Jake's Takes. It was so special to have such a chance to talk basketball with such a great player and person. Did you enjoy your time with me today?
Well, Jake, I just want to say, man, it's an honor to be on your show. I appreciate the things that you're doing out here for the youth, because you're letting them know that anything is possible. The platform that you're creating, it's a great space, and it's a space that you definitely belongs in, because you have the energy, the passion, as well as the knowledge to continue this type of career. So I'll be seeing you down the road, partner. All right? So you take care of yourself.